So guys, I have started recording of this particular session. This is for your consent because I'll be publishing this particular video after this particular discussion. Okay. So we were talking about like some other one's data center, right? Someone else has created data center and now we are just trying to utilize it. Okay, so let us say if we do not have a data center, if we talk about traditional methodologies, so for example, there is a particular organization, let us say www.servergyan.com. And you are hired with this particular organization as website administrator or web administrator, right? So if I ask you to set up a particular website for me, what all stuff would you need? What kind of infrastructure, what all like software, hardware, like what all you need in order to host a website?
Right. So we'll need servers, network.
Okay,
and
let's
then
write it down. So we need servers. Okay, we need
network. And within those servers, obviously, all our IO devices, everything will be there. And server will obviously have an OS. Could be Windows
we
or
will need
Linux,
OS.
right?
Then
We'll have, server will have all those CPU, memory, RAM, whatever, right? Disk
CPU,
space and
RAM.
all that.
Then let us call it hard disk device, HDD.
Correct.
And
And for a web
network interface as well.
network interface too, yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. Very good.
So
Okay, what
this is
else?
just on, yeah. And apart from this, to host a website, we'll need a web server or an application server.
Okay, let us call it software.
Software, yeah.
Okay. What else?
And
See,
then obviously,
let me make the objective of this particular discussion very clear that before learning cloud environment, we should be understanding that why it is required. What is the need of this particular environment, right? Okay. So after software, what else is required here?
so obviously, website code is required.
Okay, website code. Okay, so let us leave that particular part. Reason being, whether you run in on-prem data center or maybe onto cloud, so that code will definitely be required in both the places.
Correct.
So let us keep that aside for a while now. Okay, what next?
Maybe secure. The secure access to these
Okay, let
services.
us call it security, and security will be in two ways, like physical
Right.
and logical.
Correct.
Licenses. Physical in terms of, let us say that a particular security guard has to be there. That person should not allow anyone to log into the data center where our servers are placed. And obviously, when we are talking about that servers are going to be there, so before server, we will need a kind of data center.
Right.
Then after, we will need racks. Like if we do not have racks, where we will mount the particular servers.
Correct.
When we are talking about network, so network, there are two types of networks available, like internal networking between different instances, between different servers, and second is known as ISP, Internet Service Provider. Because if we do not have internet connectivity, then it is of no use to host a website. So we will need access to ISP. Moreover, we should be writing here ISPs. Why it is so? Because let us say if one ISP's network goes down, we should have a particular another ISP, Internet Service Provider, for fault tolerance, or you can call that high availability. Right?
Right.
Then after, we will need like a couple of other things as well. Let us say when we talk about logical security, so we will need firewall. Now, there are different type of firewalls available with different capacity. So what firewall do we need to select? What router, what switch, what kind of rack do we want to have? Like how many chassis we want to configure there? How many physical servers are going to be there? So the basic difference, and not only this, we will need a lot of certifications. So let me tell you guys, if you really want to be in such a domain where you want to store public's or maybe your client's information, for example, if you want to store client's email address, client's name. Let us say like I'm working in education domain. So if I want to store your information such as your name, I'm looking for your PAN card, I'm looking for your mobile number, your email address, your date of birth. If this type of information I want to store onto my server, then I will be needing multiple certification, maybe SOC 1, SOC 2. Like that your personal data is secured with me. I need to get that certified. But do you really think that for hosting a very basic website, these many things are required? Why can it not be possible that I just go onto some environment and I ask them, okay, show me your certificates and I want to host my website here? Because not only single certificate is required, certificate from National Green Renewable NGT, certificate from local authorities, certificate from centralized authorities, certificate from your power authority, like how much power consumption will be there, how much power you will be consuming as in terms of electricity, which is available to all, how much power you will be consuming as part of like let us say solar energy, how much capacity you will produce in terms of let us say your generators and all. So what is your power plan? Everything you will have to prove there. Only then you will get certification in order to run a data center. Moreover, if you are going to have a data center, so in that particular case, will you be utilizing the data center for your personal utilization, or will you be sharing the data center with others? Such as like I want to be a data center provider. Some other customers can come to my place and I will keep their server into my data center, or I will lease my servers to my client. Right? There are multiple mechanisms, multiple scenarios are there, and every scenario has to be very clear before going for the certification. Are we clear with that? Any questions?
Yes. No, sir.
Okay, great. So one more thing is here. Now let us say I am just trying to host my idea. There is no guarantee that servercan.com will succeed or not. But in order to host a website, I definitely need all the things whatever are mentioned here. Like I'll need a data center, rack, server, operating system. Inside operating system, I'll be defining like how many CPUs, RAM, hard disk, and network is required. So as a web server administrator, what will you recommend me? Because you are the first person. I am not a technical person, consider it. So how many CPU, how much amount of RAM, amount of disk or network interface card will you suggest me to purchase?
Depending on the load or the website's performance, whatever is required
Okay,
in
let
production,
us say that I'm assuming 1,000 customer will visit me every single day.
and depends on the kind of operations that they'll do, like just visiting or just
Let
browsing
us
the
say
stat.
they will come and purchase kind of courses from my website.
So approximate,
Or let us talk about like Domino's, Domino's is a website, right? So I want to host burger.com.
right?
Now there is a website burger.com. People will come, they will check out all the items on my website, like it is burger, pizza, or kind of any table items are going to be there. They would browse it first, they will select it, they will add the particular like items to their cart, then after they will go for checkout. This is going to be like entire journey. So how would you recommend me that how many CPUs do I want? How much amount of RAM will be required, or that way? So how will you suggest me? Because see, the very basic and the very first challenge which we have with on-prem data center is capacity provisioning.
Correct.
And why is that a challenge? Reason behind is, let us say I gave you kind of budget that okay, let us go for 1,000 users per day. So what does that mean? 30,000 users per month. But what if? How will you calculate it? It will be really difficult for you to calculate, because I randomly said 1,000 users are my like wild guess that these many users are supposed to visit my website. What is the challenge here? So will you divide? Let us say we have 24 hours in a day. It is a mathematical calculation. 1000 divided by 24. What is the value coming in? Let us try to calculate 1000 divided by 24. What does that mean? Like 41.66 customers per hour I'm planning. Now per minute will be, not even a single customer is coming per minute. But the main challenge here is, okay, is it literally like going to be literally going to happen that all users will come in sequential manner? There might be kind of peak hours for me. Let us say, as a trend, I know most of visitors on my website comes between 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is the peak hours for my website. All rest of the day, my website is just kind of silent. People are coming. Let us say one user is coming within 1 hour, but rest all users visits my website from 9 to 2. So I will have to provision my website. I will have to provision my server, considering that if 200 users per minute are visiting my website for 5 minutes only. So I should have such an infra ready that I should be able to serve 200 users per minute. So what is the highest load? We have 200 users per minute. So for that particular peak hours, we will have to plan for this hardware capacity. We cannot have a like random calculation formula like if it is 1000 users per day divided by 24. So this is not the user behavior. Are you trying to understand what I'm explaining here?
Right.
Because it is not that all users will come in sequential manner. They can come like suddenly. Let us talk about Flipkart. Usually, let us say Flipkart has 500 users per minute visiting their website. But if there is a sale comes in, let us say there is like Black Friday sale, there is, let us say, Holi, Diwali, or maybe any kind of like New Year sale are there, right? So when there is a particular sale, so like traffic may be like 100 times higher, because when there are multiple flash messages coming in, and like let's say Flipkart is trying to do kind of sales promotions. So at that moment, Flipkart has to be ready with 20 times or maybe with 100 times higher customer. And those customers will not stay there forever. Once sale is off, they will go away. For example, iPhone 15 launch, we can take example of. If Flipkart is saying that we are going to launch iPhone 15 on our website officially on, let us say today is 2nd September. So on 5th of September, we will have a sale. What time? At 12 p.m. IST. So between 11:30 till 12:30, there will be at least 100 times higher users. Those users who are not regular visitor of website, even those will go and try to check out the particular product on in like kind of in their account. So how do we manage that kind of capacity management? Let us take example, if we are trying to run such a campaign in our on-prem data center, so will it be literally possible for us to handle that level of traffic?
So possible, but very costly.
Possible, but very costly. So let us say we need to have that kind of like provisioning, that level of capacity into our hardware, into our data center, that we can handle 100 times higher users. But is it really feasible or is it really practical to have that much infrastructure into our data center that is being used only for 1 hour, maybe in a month or maybe in like in a quarter?
Not practical.
Not practical. So in that particular case, we prefer that someone should be able to support us for these kind of campaigns where we need like servers only for 20 minutes or only for an hour or only for a day. So if that is the case, so AWS or other cloud computing environments, we can get all these kind of infrastructure like data center, rack, server, operating system, CPU, RAM, hard disk, network, multiple ISPs are there. Whatever software you want, you can install in there. You will get security, like in terms of physical as well as firewall, logical or physical securities, all kind of certifications, which allows you to store your data into servers, which allows your customer data to be stored into your server, whatever server you have. So if that is the case, so if someone is going to ask, okay, what is cloud computing? So now we should be able to answer that question. Now just see here, it is an interface only. It is nothing but an interface. And what kind of interface is it? A web interface where we can click somewhere and we can get a desired output. So if someone says, what is cloud computing? So we should be having an answer. Cloud computing is an interface like this, where we can get all resources readily available on demand to run our infrastructure. Now, what is our infrastructure? Just a website. What is that? Burger.com. So now there will be multiple domains here, like this is www.burger.com. There might be a different website. Let us say I want that user should be logging into different domain, login.burger.com. I want there should be a different server running for me where user can check out, checkout.burger.com, list, or maybe product.burger.com. So different domains could be there, right? But if I want to answer the same question, like what is cloud computing environment? What is cloud computing? We should have a like very solid answer for that. That cloud computing is an interface where all the resources like this, like data center, rack, server, OS, and remaining all. So an interface where all the resources are available on demand to run my infrastructure for burger.com. So are we clear with this? Like, why do we need cloud computing environment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any question, guys, so far? Okay. Silence means no question. Okay. So this is the requirement. Like, why do we need cloud computing environment? Now, let us try to understand that what are the different type of cloud we can have. So, guys, there are three type of cloud could be there. If you get a chance to work with it, and definitely will get a chance. So there will be three type of data like cloud computing environments. First of all, it is going to be public cloud. Now, what does that mean? Public cloud means anyone who has access to internet can access onto this particular website and can perform whatever is required. This is an interface where a person can come in and perform whatever is required to be performed. Like a person will create account, will log in here, enter password, and that is it. Clear? Okay. So this is known as public cloud, that anyone can have access to this particular source, to this particular environment, and this is known as public cloud because this is shared with all. Whoever has a kind of account onto like AWS platform can access to resources of AWS. The second environment is known as private cloud. Now, can you tell me what is the difference between public and private cloud here?
पब्लिक का क्लाउड इज पब्लिक के लिए यूज मतलब जो अपना और सारे पब्लिक यूज कर सकते हैं और प्राइवेट या अपना पर्सनल.
Very good. So can we not use this private cloud into public domain?
Private cloud is for only a particular organization or a institution like that.
Okay. Sudeep, would you like to add anything on this?
Yeah, like private cloud is a secluded environment hosted within the premises or the reach of an organization. Let's say if I'm working for a bank, the bank might not be comfortable using a public cloud, which is accessible over the internet. Rather, they'll have it within their own premises, within their own control, so that their employees or their teams or different silos can actually use this. So it is not exposed to the internet as such, but within the organization very well accessed. And obviously it will have respective service, might not have all the services which are provided by the public cloud, but the services which are only required for that particular operations might be hosted out there.
Okay.
I would say a subset of public cloud, but in a very controlled environment, mostly within the premises, or in a secluded environment apart from a public one.
Okay, very good. Now let me elaborate it. We all are just near to actual thing. So let me explain. So let us say we have a particular physical server. This is a physical server with 64 CPUs and 128 GB of RAM. Now there are users. Let us say first user comes in. Let us name this user as, let us say, username is Tom. The first user comes and creates an account onto AWS and now requires a particular server. So what is going to happen here in this particular case? Oh, sorry. Now this user Tom requires to create a particular server into public cloud. This is the same physical server. Okay, user comes in and requests AWS to allow to create a particular machine of size, let us say 2 CPU and 4 GB of RAM. Right? AWS does not stop this user to from creating a machine onto this particular server. Now there is another user, let us say David. This user comes in, creates an account on AWS, requires a machine of some higher end. Let us say user says that I need at least 16 CPU and 32 GB of RAM. So both user can share the same physical hardware because this physical hardware remains same. In the same way, if you see some other user comes in and wants to create a machine with some lower environment, with lower requirement, so user can create a machine like 1 CPU and 2 GB of RAM. This is known as public cloud because this interface where user can create their account can come and operate as per their requirement. So this is an example of public cloud. This is an example of public cloud where same physical hardware can be shared with multiple different customers. Like Tom is part of different company. David is working for some other organization. Let us say this machine is created by Lockendr and Lockendr is working for some other organization. But if you see underlying hardware remains same. Are we clear with that? Now let us talk about private cloud. So we can name any organization. Let us say this organization name is ABC. This is ABC organization. So, for example, there is a user. There is a user or there is an employee of the organization. Let us call it Sudeep. Sudeep is working for ABC organization. Now, only Sudeep can create. Let us say there are maybe 100 servers like this. So only Sudeep is allowed to create servers onto this platform. Whatever the size is required, whatever is the network connectivity going to be, whatever are the other requirements of the organization, only Sudeep can create servers, let us say like 8 CPU and 32 GB of RAM. So whatever operations can be performed, these can be performed by such an authorized person who can log into company's data center, who has access to this particular cloud. Because these clouds are not exposed over internet, like the particular management console of that cloud is not exposed over internet. There was a thing which someone from you was saying that these services are not exposed onto internet. Is it so?
Not 100%. Through a proxy, I would say, like restricted access to internet.
No, I would not agree on that. Reason behind is, so let us say I want to host a website. For example, abc.com, or we can replace abc.com to, let us say, Domino's, maybe burger.com, right? So they have their private data centers, but you are able to access Domino's, maybe
Correct.
Pizza Hut, or maybe other kind of, maybe let us say SBI Bank, maybe ICICI, maybe Axis, maybe like Yes Bank, whatever banks you know, those banks are accessible over internet. Is it right or not?
That's right.
What does that mean? That private cloud does not mean that, that the particular services or their website are not hosted on internet. These are hosted on internet, but entire control remains with all the employees of that organization only. No one from internet can directly access these servers. Anyone on internet can utilize these services. For example, I do not know even the IP address of Domino's servers. I do not know where the data center is. I do not know who is actually the end user for that, to manage that particular domain, or to manage that particular server. But what I know, I will go to internet, I will create my order, I will place it, and I will get that order. So that depends on the type of solution, the type of website we are trying to host from that particular server. So that is the case of private cloud. No one can directly access to the servers. Only authorized person from the organization side are allowed to log into those console. Like, let us assume that there is a similar console on private cloud as well, but that console is accessible to limited person. Only authorized person of the organization can log into those servers. Now, let us say there are two users. Let us take one another example here. One another actor is there. Let us say this particular actor is, let us say, Lock-in. So this is me, right? Now I am working in sales team. Sudeep is working into IT, or maybe let us say as server admin. So guys, what do you think? Will a person from sales team be allowed to access these servers? Will my organization, whether I'm also part of ABC organization, so will my organization allow me to access these servers if I'm part of sales team?
Maybe no.
Maybe sales
No.
specific
Not
service.
maybe, definitely no. Why it is so? Only designated people who understand the technology and how to handle it. Only those designated people, designated resource of the organization will be entitled to log into these servers and manage it.
Correct.
Okay, let us say this server goes down. This is not coming up. If someone comes to Lokendra and says that our sales are down, please fix this server first. So will I be able to?
No.
No.
Yes.
So only authorized person from that organization will be entitled to log into this environment. So if that is the scenario, this is known as private cloud. Public cloud, there was no such case. Anyone can create their account onto this console, can log into it, and can operate on the same server. Now, Sudeep can decide. Now, let us say there are different verticals within the like ABC team, such as we have products. Let us say now we have HR team, we have payroll team, or maybe some other teams as well. So now Sudeep can decide. Now, let us say this is the particular server to list the like organization product. There is another server. This server is also part of this organization. Now this server is used only for internal website. Such as I want to host HRMS. Why it is so? Like, I do not want to expose this particular domain on internet. All the users who are sitting inside organization should be able to access it. Such as I want to apply for a leave, or yesterday I was on a leave. Now I want to register it onto some domain where HR should be knowing about it. My manager should be knowing about it. So like most of organizations are there, those organizations do not publish their HRMS portal onto internet. Either user should be able to access that using some VPN, virtual private network, which is known as, right? Or user should be sitting inside the inside office premises. Only then user will be allowed to log into that particular website. So if that is the case, for example, those servers which are exposed over internet, the real product website, those can be created here. All applications which are in-house or which are supposed to be accessible internally, those can be listed onto this particular server. And who has right to decide? The internal admin of the organization. Are we clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Now, one more scenario comes into mind, which is known as hybrid cloud. This is known as hybrid cloud. What does that mean? So let us say company says that all the public facing domain we will have onto this particular public cloud. All private website, let us say HRMS or maybe some web portal or kind of domains, I would like to have on private cloud. But if that is the case, so it means connectivity between your public and private cloud has to be there. If this is the scenario, like my private applications are hosted in my internal data center, in my on-prem data center, and public facing applications are hosted on public cloud. So if that is the scenario, or maybe an organization is in transition phase, what does that mean? Either organizations plan to move from private to cloud or from cloud to private. So the particular phase till the time organization is running into both the locations, into public as well as private. So that particular logical topology of that network diagram is known as hybrid cloud, because right now we are running into public as well as private. Or it can also be possible that an organization decides to remain same forever. So if we are running an organization into both the environments, so what do we call it?
Hybrid.
Hybrid. Any questions so far, or any terms which you are not able to understand? So please do let me know. I would love to explain them.
Sir, please explain hybrid cloud again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are we clear with public cloud?
Yes.
And about private cloud?
Yeah, sir, one question is there.
Yeah, please go ahead.
If some of the organization wanted to host his website on AWS and wanted to this website in restricted way in internally open, so it would be come under public cloud or private cloud.
So now there is a particular use case where you want that a company does not have any sort of private cloud, but wants to host such a website which should be accessible to limited users, those who are connecting from office side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
that will be known as public cloud only. So we can host private or internal website inside public cloud as well. These are known as intranet domain.
Okay.
We can configure such domains as well, which should be accessible to limited audience only. This is known as private hosted zone in AWS terms. Private hosted zone, where you can host a domain in such a way that should be accessible from within organization only, or from some specific set of IP addresses, and there is no public IP address exposed.
Okay.
But that will be known as public cloud. But yes, if an organization decides to host a website into both the data centers, let us say public as well as private, only then this will be known as hybrid.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Yeah. So if both data centers are involved, only then this will be known as hybrid. Otherwise, you can host public or you can host private or both type of data like websites into either of the cloud, into public or into private as well. So if you see, I gave you an example, like an administrator in this particular case, so let us call it Sudeep, right? So Sudeep decided to host public website onto this particular server, like which are client facing, and internal website onto another server, which are internal. But in this case, can we call it public cloud? If this is the case, like where an administrator decided to host public website as well as private websites. So can we call it public cloud if public websites are
No,
okay?
no, no, sir.
No, because
Yes, sir.
the only user, Sudeep, is able to decide that what kind of websites are going to be created on what set of physical servers. But since no one from internet come and decide that, okay, let us increase or reduce the particular resources of this particular like server. That means the access to this data center or access to this particular resource segment is restricted to only limited users, and those users should be designated and authorized by the organization. As I gave an example, a person who is part of sales team cannot be authorized, cannot be designated to handle this level of infrastructure. Are we clear with that? If
Okay,
it is
sir.
public, anyone can access. If it is private, only designated people from an organization can handle it. And if an organization is operating on both, so that logical topology is known as hybrid cloud. That is it. Are we clear with that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So now there are different type of offerings. Now what does that mean, offerings? A cloud CSP, cloud service provider, which is known as CSP. So most of time you should be like when you are going through a JD, like job description, which a company is looking for. So you might see like some jargons are there. CSP. What does that mean?
Cloud service provider.
Yes, very true. This is known as cloud service provider. It could be sometime you will be able to see ISP. So that is internet service provider. ASP means service provider. So if it is compute, so cloud like compute service provider or cloud service provider, you can call that. And if it is ISP, internet service provider. Okay. So there are different ISP like CSPs available as of today. But what do we need to understand here? The very first thing which we need to understand, like what kind of services are these offering? What kind of features can we explore onto these environments? So the very first option here is IaaS. This is known as IaaS. This is very first type of offering which every single cloud service provider. Now let us name couple of service provider. Let us say it is AWS. AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. This is known as Amazon Web Services. It is GCP like Google Cloud Platform. It is Azure. This is product of Microsoft. It could be DO, DigitalOcean. Oracle Cloud. It could be IBM Cloud. And multiple others are there. But yes, if you talk about bigger players, so only these four are the bigger players. The most of opportunities which you may have, these are on AWS itself. Reason being, as of today itself, AWS has a hold up to 55% market of cloud. Within remaining 45%, GCP, Azure, DigitalOcean, and other players are playing. But yes, AWS still holds 55% share of entire cloud market. So what does that mean? Every one job out of two is on AWS. So the chances to get jobs into cloud environment are really higher on the side of AWS. But yes, gradually AWS and Azure are providing like maybe additional features, maybe lower cost in order to increase their market. But as of today, we talk about like AWS is still the biggest leader in the cloud market. So that is why I prefer to go for AWS. Otherwise, I'm certified professional on AWS, GCP, and Azure all. It takes me the same to teach any of the cloud technology. I'm certified on all the three. Professional certifications I have. Okay. So when we are talking about this type of environment, so let us talk about what kind of offerings these companies are providing these cloud, so like CSPs, cloud service providers are providing. So first of all, it is known as IaaS. What does that mean? Infrastructure as service. Second one is known as PaaS, and third one is known as, what is third one, guys?
Software as a service.
Software as a service. So these three kind of offering, kind of platforms we can access on AWS, GCP, Azure, DigitalOcean, or any other where. So can anyone tell me what is difference between all these three terms, like infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service?
So IaaS is mostly related to the infrastructure, like whatever we discussed in the previous slide, right? If I want to host a website, I'll need the
What you are
infrastructure
talking
component, right? This one. So if any cloud provider is providing these services so that I can utilize it, so it'll be infrastructure as a service for me. For platform as a service, it's mostly on the OS up services, like the applications, not the application, but anything on the OS side, OS or the middleware components, like web servers, app servers. So they are the platform, or let's say Java, right? So Java is also one basically framework, I would say, for an application. So those servers are actually known as platform, on which we'll deploy the application. And if I'm able to access that website or the service that I have deployed, that will be a service, software as a service. For example, Gmail. So Google has deployed that into their servers on their infrastructure. So infrastructure as a service on their middleware component, maybe HTTPD server or any other server. That's platform as a service for Gmail. And then end application Gmail is being utilized by a lot of individuals. So that is software as a service.
Okay, very good. Nice explanation. So let us say I am trying to consume a service. Now I want to understand that it is IaaS or PaaS. How do I distinguish between both? Is my question clear?
Right.
So it's not only like me and Sudeep are talking into this particular session. Like anyone who has answer to this question can please answer.
Sir, IaaS is something about infrastructure as a service, which we have to care about only OS perspective. But we come on the PaaS, is a platform as a services. So in this scenario, we have to take care of some platform. Like if someone has launched SAP services on OS, then we have to take care about the OS and SAP services both. Uh, One platform and infrastructure. Like,
A little complicated. So are we clear about like what Prabhat explained? Okay, let me take it. Okay, let me ask you, as a developer, let me give you some scenario. Like, how does it happen in real environment? There is a developer comes to you, says, I want an environment where, as a developer, I want an operating system where Linux should be running, because the kind of environment I am trying to develop on, that should be Linux based. Now, the OS version should be 8 plus, let us say it is RHL 8 or maybe CentOS 8. Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 I'm talking about here in this particular scenario, right? Then after, it should have, let us say in Nginx, let us say 1.2.4. This is the latest one, which is stable and latest one version available as of today. So this should be the version. Now let's talk about PHP. So PHP should be, let us say, 8.4. This is PHP version. Now the same way, it like the developer can ask you, okay, I want a database like MySQL, and this should be running at least MySQL 8.01 kind of some random numbers. Now, what you are supposed to do here, first of all, you will have a particular virtual machine or maybe physical server, right? This requirement comes to you because you are maybe server admin, maybe DevOps engineer, maybe TechOps engineer, maybe SRE. So different roles could be there, but yes, the request will come to you and you will be held responsible to install that operating system. So, okay, the very first requirements, OS should be Linux, not Windows. Okay, another specific in here is version should be RHEL 8, not RHEL 5, 6, 7, or maybe any other. Only RHEL 8 should be there. Okay, so let us say that you have installed the operating system. Now the third requirement here is you need to install a software, right? So how will you install software? So for installing a software, Nginx is a web server. Like most of us knows about IIS, maybe HTTPD web server, Apache web server. The same way Nginx is also web server. Okay. So in order to install this software, what is required? First of all, you need to log into this operating system. Okay, tell me one thing. Is it practically possible to install a software without logging in? If I do not log into this particular machine, this particular RHEL 8 operating system, is it practically possible to install a particular software?
No.
Okay, very good. Obviously, it should be no. I'm in alignment with you. Okay, great. So, how will you log in? You will need a username, right? Along with username, you will need a password for it. Moreover, that user should have administrator privileges. So, if all these things are required, if all the things you are aware of, okay, then as an administrator, you should also be able to know that how many other users are created on this particular system. Will you be able to check it? Yes, guys, can we check that how many other users are created in the operating system if we have admin rights? Can we check it?
Sure.
Yes, you can check
Yeah.
it.
Very good. So then after, what version of Nginx is there? Definitely we can install. Software installation, let us leave it. We can definitely do that. But what I'm trying to explain you here is how would you identify it is IaaS or PaaS? Okay. Finally, we created MySQL. Now, the particular developer says, I want to create an administrator user inside MySQL. See, there are two levels of administrators. The very first admin is going to be on operating system. The second admin is going to be inside MySQL as well. Okay, you may have read-only user in MySQL, you may have administrator user, you may have like some other specific user you may have inside MySQL. So there are users are going to be at two level. First of all, OS level, then the software level. Okay, let us say I have an account on Facebook. Just be with me for a while more. I have an account on facebook.com. So does that mean that my user is created inside RHEL 8 as well, that operating system as well? Yes, guys.
No.
If I have my Facebook account created, my details are available in MySQL, like my username, my password, everything, whatever I supplied as input, like my date of birth, like my interests, like what do I like, what do I not like, right? Every piece of information I have shared with Facebook. The information about my account is stored in MySQL. So does that mean that I will have access to this operating system as well? No. So right now we are going to manage users at two levels. First of all, operating system level, and second one, MySQL level. So if we are able to understand that what is the operating system version running, what is the particular amount of hard disk is associated on it, how many CPUs are there, what is current load running on this particular system, if we are able to address all the questions, that means we are working on this particular platform, which is known as IaaS. If you are able to answer these questions, whatever I have just asked you guys, like what is your operating system, you will say it is Linux. Okay, what is the version? It is RHEL 8. Okay, in that particular case, it is the example of IaaS, infrastructure as a service, is the particular component which you are dealing with. Now, let us take another example. Now, developer comes to you and says, okay, I want my SQL 8, where 4 CPU and 8 GB of RAM has to be there. Just listen to requirement once again. Developer comes to you and says that I want my MySQL server with at least version 8, and the resource capacity should be at least 4 CPU and 8 GB of RAM. So now this time, does that user is asking about a specific operating system? No. Does that user want that only RHEL 8 has to be there? No. Does that user say that you need to have Nginx web server only? No. The user is asking only about MySQL. So if I'm working as in this particular platform IaaS, so let us say if I have to create a user into this RHEL 8 operating system, that is going to be my responsibility. For example, there is a software which is installed inside this RHEL 8 that has kind of vulnerability, like bug, an issue, security issue, right? Or maybe performance enhanced kind of stuff is there. So if that is the case, being Linux administrator, I am supposed to upgrade that. I am supposed to fix those issues in case of IaaS, because right now the OS responsibility lies with me. I'm going to be held completely responsible to manage my operating system. For example, I did not take care of that. Now there is a situation where because of that bug, either my system is crashed or some other person has taken unwanted access onto it. So I will be held responsible for it because I was Linux administrator for this operating system. In case of platform as service, so now the user says that I want my MySQL 8. MySQL version should be 8.01. Let us say this one. Okay, that is it. So now, what do you know? You know that how many users are created inside MySQL. Let us say there is a user admin. There is a user known as WordPress. Let us say there are 4 databases created. So you know only about this MySQL. You are working on platform as a service. Reason behind is you need not to worry about that. The OS is running on CentOS, on Ubuntu, on RHEL, on Windows. Now, if any vulnerability comes, let us say, for example, that we are still running on RHEL 8, but that is responsibility of this particular CSP, cloud service provider. Our cloud service provider will ensure that if any vulnerability comes, if any user performs any miscellaneous activities, those should be tracked by CSP, cloud service provider. So we do not have any kind of responsibility or any role in this particular section, like OS management, OS version, patch management, rebooting a server kind of. We are not going to take care of that. We are just responsible to handle the particular operations which are on the top of MySQL only. For example, I need to take backup of this MySQL DB, like WordPress is the database, or maybe WordPress is a username as well. So I need to take backup of WordPress database. I'll be handling that part. I will not be taking care of operating system part. Are we clear with IaaS and PaaS? Yes, guys.
Yep, clear.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now let us talk about SaaS. SaaS, software as a service. Okay. How many of you have Gmail account? Yes, guys. How many of you have Gmail account?
I think everyone.
Almost everyone.
I trust so that that every one of us has Gmail account, or maybe not Gmail, Hotmail, Outlook, kind of. Obviously, like every one of us has kind of an email account, which is not obviously our own, but yes, some public like email service we are utilizing. Okay, so I have one Gmail account. Let us say it is servercan@gmail.com. Now, just tell me one thing. What operating system Google is utilizing to run that Gmail service? Can anyone tell me that? What operating system Google is using in order to run Gmail?
No.
Okay. So most of says no idea. Sudhakar is saying no idea. Very good. Okay. What version of software are they using? So when we do not have any idea about the software, so how can we know about the version of it? Police question, obviously. Can you tell me like where the particular server is hosted? It is in India or out of India?
No.
No idea. It may be multiple locations.
Okay, very true. It may be multiple locations. One more question I have. Okay, so do you know like how many other users are having their Gmail onto the same physical server where your Gmail account is created?
No idea.
Yes, that's the solid answer of SES. When you do not have any idea about underlying hardware, like what is the mail solution they are utilizing? When you know only this, blank, you know nothing about the infrastructure. You do not have idea about operating system. You do not have idea about the particular software they are running, the version of it, the kind of database they are using, how many other users are also trying to utilize the same environment. When you do not have any idea, you have only one idea that you need to log into your Gmail account, you need to send email, you need to receive email, you can share some attachment, you can have some kind of your individual workspace like 15 GB Gmail is providing for free. So if you have only that idea, it means you are working on SaaS.
Okay.
Vikram, do you have any question?
No, sir.
Let us try to go through some images as well. Where is that image? I wanted to go. Okay, let us see here only. So when you are talking on premises, so like networking, so see the colors here. I don't know if it is green or like what. So let us call it green. So all the stuff written in green, you manage. You means as administrator, you are responsible for it, such as networking, storage, servers, virtualization, OS, middleware, runtime, data, and application. Everything you manage. In case you are utilizing infrastructure as service like IaaS. So what do they manage? Others means the particular CSP, cloud service provider, networking, storage, servers, and virtualization. This part our CSP is going to take care of. Operating system, middleware, runtime. These are the stuff which we have to take care of. Data and application is our responsibility. Now, when we talk about platform as service, so in fact, operating system, middleware, runtime, everything is handled by them, like others, like CSP. Data and application we handle. When we talk about SaaS, it is everything in orange. What does that mean? We do not take care of anything here. Now, I hope the picture is clear.
Yes.
Any questions so far?
What is middleware?
Middleware, very good. So let us say I want to run Jenkins, a particular software for like CI/CD, continuous implement, continuous delivery. So I can directly run, or either I want to run web server inside Tomcat. So Tomcat is going to be middleware here.
Okay.
Okay, runtime means your let us say you want to run your Java applications. So Java is going to be runtime here. Then data and application, we are much aware of it.
Yes.
Okay. So I hope we are clear so far into this particular. Before we jump onto this particular section, so I would like to explain a couple of other things, because at the end of the day, we are going to study about all these things only, right? But what do I want to tell you here? The thing here is the type of servers we can operate with, the type of infra. Infra means infrastructure we are talking about. So it could be a various type. The very first type here is physical server. It could be a physical server. Now, what does that mean, physical server? Can anyone tell me what is physical server? Sudhakar M is saying bare metal. Yes. Any other one would like to explain anything on it? What is physical server?
The servers in which we can rack and stack.
Yes, very true. The servers which we can touch, the server which are before our eyes, we know the like physical dimension of it, like what is the like height, width, length, everything we can measure. That is known as physical server. We know, like, okay, this is bare metal. Now we can install either Linux or Windows inside it. The complete control is in our hand. Like we can lift a server and we can shift that server to some other place. That is known as physical server, just like your laptop. Laptops are end user machines, and your servers are the particular service provided to your end users. So these are really heavy machines. Now, the other type of infra you will get to know that is known as virtual. Now, what does that mean, virtual server? Can anyone explain virtual server?
VM.
Yes, we can call
VM.
this VM as well. VM, virtual machine. So what is the difference between virtual machine and physical server?
Virtual machine runs on hypervisor, like type 1 or type 2 hypervisor. And physical servers directly run on the hardware. Like OS we can install like directly on the hardware, and in VM we can install the OS on hypervisor.
Okay, very true. So can you explain a little more about this hypervisor? What is this? See, whenever there's a new term comes in, we all are supposed to know about it, like what we are talking about. So what is hypervisor? Jeevraj.
Basically, like hypervisor, like there are two type of hypervisor. One is type 1 and type 2. So type 2 hypervisors are like VMware and VirtualBox. So they run like they are like a software which runs above an OS operating system, and like we can install VMware on in our laptops also. Like we are running Windows or Mac OS, we can install and type 2 hypervisors directly run on the, type 1 hypervisors directly run on the um, like our hardware, properly hardware like CPUs, motherboard, and all. They are installed directly on that.
Okay, very good.
Like Xen hypervisor.
Okay, it could be
Or
Xen, it could be KVM, it could be Citrix, it could be VMware.
yeah, and like Hyper-V
Hyper-V,
by
which is
Microsoft.
provided by Microsoft Hyper-V. Yes, these are a couple of names. So, guys, what happens? Let us say there was a time when we used to have laptops. It is early 2008-9 type. So, those days, what used to happen? We used to have a laptop. So, either at a moment we could have Windows installed on it, or we could have Linux installed on it. But if the requirement was such as we want to have Linux as well as Windows both, so we used to do a system dual boot. Like one operating system used to have two operating system, one physical server, one physical laptop used to have two operating system inside it. Let us say within C drive we have installed Windows, within D drive we have installed Linux. But there was a situation at a moment we were able to utilize only one operating system at the moment. Why we are discussing this? Reason behind is we should be knowing that how technology evolves. So there was a time when one physical laptop used to have two operating systems, but it was not capable enough to allow us to utilize both the operating system in the same time. So we used to restart our system. We used to select the operating system we want to boot with, maybe Linux, maybe with Windows. Okay. Then there was a time when new softwares were coming in. Then we installed a kind of software onto a physical server, into a physical laptop, and we started creating virtual servers inside that. For example, my laptop had 4 CPU and 8 GB of RAM. So what could I have done here is I could have created a machine inside this virtual machine with 1 CPU and 1 GB of RAM. And I could have created two virtual machines, one for Windows and one for Linux. And I could have operated all three things. Like, first of all, the particular physical laptop where Windows is installed, I could have access that virtual machine, which is running inside my virtual server, which is running as my virtual server. I could have utilized that virtual machine as well, which is Windows, and I could have utilized a third instance, which is another server as Linux. So that is the particular technology which is known as VM, virtual machine. It used to run with the help of kind of hypervisors. This is a software which provides us the capability to create multiple servers on a physical instance, on a physical server. Now, next thing here is containerization. Container. Now, what does that mean? You must have heard a term known as Docker. How many of you have not heard Docker anytime? Anyone who is not aware of Docker, what is it? Silence means no. We all have heard this particular term known as Docker. This is a kind of software which provides a containerized environment. Now, if you go to face an interview and if you are kind of beginner, so definitely this question will be asked to you. What is the difference between container and a virtual server or virtual machine, you can call that? Anyone would like to explain a little on this? Yes, guys. Anyone can explain me the difference between container and a virtual server? Jivraj.
Basically, sir, like containerization is an upgraded version of the VM. And so here what we can do is like basically in like we can create a Docker image and all, and in that image we can use an Alpine also, and like allocate the resources also if we go in much deeper like about the containerization and all. So that basically it's run in an isolated mode, like one container will be like totally isolated through other, and
The
we
same
can
way
connect
virtual
to the
machine
network
also
also.
completely isolated.
Like but yeah, they are also like completely isolated, but I don't think like VM can be, I'm not sure about that, but through networking, like we can run in the same network also, like using Docker Compose and all, we can run multiple containers in same network.
The same way virtual machine can also run in the same network with the help of like virtual networking.
Sorry sir, like, but I don't have.
Completely fine, completely fine. We are just trying to
Yeah.
understand the difference. Sudeep, any idea about it?
Right, right. So, like hypervisor enables a physical machine or a EXI so that virtual machines can be carved out. Likewise, a container runtime installed maybe on physical machine or on a virtual machine enables it to have separate isolated containers on which we can run containers. It could be Docker containers or Cryo or other Podman or anything like that. But the major difference between container and virtual machines is what container runtime itself has network. I mean, the entire infrastructure within itself, like the Docker runtime, or maybe, for example, Kubernetes, right? So it has the entire infrastructure, right from network, internal networking till storage. And but likewise, VM is an standalone entity. But for containers, if we have a container environment deployed, multiple containers can be deployed onto that particular uh, Kubernetes environment or Docker environment.
Okay, now let me take it. Thank you for explanation. Very good. Appreciated. Okay. So why do I create a virtual machine? Or why do I need to have a physical server? Or why do I need to create a container? Because I have kind of a specific requirement that I want to do this, such as I want to host a website. So how can I do that? Either I can host that website onto physical server directly, right? Website means like this, that these pages are known as websites. Or I can host a website into a virtual machine. But when we talk about a virtual machine, so virtual machine itself is a complete operating system. All the software or all the kind of services which are running inside a physical server when it is installed, the same way a virtual machine should also have all the services running. Only then it will be able to serve your purpose, otherwise not. What does that mean? Let us say I want to install a package here. Package means software, you can call that like HTTPD. There is a particular service known as HTTPD, Hypertext Transfer Protocol Daemon. Daemon means service. So if I want to run a software here, so what is required? Just to run this particular service, I need to have at least 100 other processes running inside this virtual machine. Okay, let us assume if 100 processes are running, so some amount of CPU and some amount of RAM should also be allocated to those processes to run, right? But what was my requirement? My requirement was to run this particular service. I do not care about other services which are required to keep this particular virtual machine running. What do I want? Only to run this particular process. So what if we could have developed a kind of mechanism where only this process will run? I need not to care about like the particular resources which are required to keep this operating system running. I need to focus only on this. So container is a solution for that situation. If you talk about any container, it does not have its own operating system. It relies on the like underlying hardware, whether it is a virtual machine, whether it is a physical server. So it utilizes runtime from this particular physical server. But if you see that only one process is running inside it, moreover, in order to a VM to come up, at least 500 MB of RAM is minimum required. When an operating system comes up, so it utilizes at least 500 MB of RAM, wherein I am not getting anything out of it. My purpose was to run this particular single service wherein all the services are coming along with that VM just to support this single process. So container is an isolated environment where only single process can run. The amount which is being consumed with this particular virtual machine, I can allocate only that amount of RAM to, let us say I want to give 500 MB of RAM to this particular process. I can easily give that. So container is an isolated environment to run your individual processes. Right? So these are three type of environment which you will get to know and which you will get a chance to work with going forward. What are these? Physical, virtual, and container. Any questions so far? Okay. Now let's talk about. Okay, let's assume that we all have studied this. We have all learned all these particular things like what is VM, what is data center. We know about cloud computing, how to operate, how to create machine, how to store data, how to everything we know about it. So the kind of operations, kind of stuff we are going to learn here. So you shall be able to easily prove that you have worked on this kind of environment between 3 to 5 years. If you practice a little more, up to 5 years of experience, you will be able to show that yes, we have worked within production environment for 5 years onto AWS environment. The kind of services we are going to touch upon, the kind of practicals we are going to see, the kind of scenarios we are going to go through. So that will help you to prove your experience. Okay. Now, when we talk about that, these are the particular things. So what kind of role can you assume after completion of this particular course? So guys, the very first role which you can assume here. The very first role, that is cloud support engineer. Okay, now what will be your roles and responsibility here? First of all, monitoring of all the running services. Second thing, basic level of troubleshooting. Then after, you will get a chance to optimize your cloud services as cloud support engineer. Now, the another profile here is that is known as SysOps. What does that mean, SysOps? So guys, there are different levels which we are going to talk about. Like SysOps, we will talk about here TechOps. We will talk about here DevOps. We will talk about here is, let us say it is solution architect. These are kind of profiles which you will get after completion of this course. Naming convention may be different, but yes, the kind of work you will have to do is going to remain almost same. Okay. So can anyone tell me what is SysOps?
No idea.
Advanced level of Linux or the system administration.
No. Let's forget about Linux.
Maybe system administration.
Okay, so SysOps is a term which is produced by AWS. Now let us think of first of all AWS Certified Solution Architect, like the kind of course which we are supposed to go for within this particular session. This is known as AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate. The very beginning here is with associate. Now AWS says, if you know what to utilize and what is utilization of it, what are the best possible solution for this particular situation, like for any, that is I want to host a website, what are the best possible ways how we can ensure that within minimum value we can get maximum output. So if you know that particular part, it means you are a solution architect. Second thing, if you know how to implement it, AWS says, if you know what to utilize, you are solution architect. If you know how to utilize it or how to implement it, you are a SysOps, like system operations. There is a specific certificate for SysOps, AWS certified SysOps, right? So if you know implementation piece, then you are SysOps. If you know only solutioning a piece, then you are a solution architect. But within this particular course, what we are going to do, we are not only going to do this particular solution architecting thing, we will also cover the SysOps piece. Why it is so? Because an organization does not only want that you should be knowing the solutioning piece. They would want that only you should be able to deliver that particular part. You should be able to implement that part. So this particular course is going to be Solution Architect Associate plus Professional. Why? The major services like EC2, let me show you something. Okay. Like these major services like EC2, Elastic Block Storage, Load Balancer, Auto Scaling, S3, CloudTrail, KMS, your EFS, your VPC, your Trusted Advisor, your Route 53. These are a couple of major services which we should be knowing up to a professional level, like IAM, right? So if we know these services up to professional level, only then we shall be able to prove ourselves that yes, we have been part of an organization and we have implemented these things. Right, guys? So we will try to cover a couple of services up to professional level, plus whatever we will learn, wherever practical things are possible. Plus SysOps. So these are the things we are going to cover as part of this particular course. Like whatever technology, whatever concept we will learn, so we will not only learn as theory, we will go for practical as well. So now what is TechOps? Like technical operations. So when you are working with such an organization where roles and responsibility of teams are divided. So DevOps is responsible for kind of automation, kind of non-production environment, and taking the deployment to production environment. These are the roles and responsibility of a DevOps. TechOps are responsible majorly for production environment only. Like day-to-day BAU, like service should not go down. We need to place monitoring on it. We need to ensure that everything is up and running, kind of. So that sort of trade-offs are for TechOps. One more word you might get to know somewhere, like we are hiring for SRE. One more profile is there. You can also explore that. SRE. What does that mean? Site Reliability Engineering. So this is a particular term which is given from the side of Google. This is known as SRE, Site Reliability Engineering. So over here, you are once again just like TechOps, but some amount of automation is also expected from these guys. Are we clear with the kind of profiles which we can look for going forward? Yes, guys, any questions so far?
No, sir.
Very good. Okay.
Yes.
Now it is time for my interview, as usually happens. So now, guys, we are going to discuss about this particular section. This is AWS. So let us begin a little with it. Like you should be knowing that I can create EC2 machine. I can be your guide throughout this particular course. So guys, this is homepage of AWS. Now, what does that mean, homepage? So whenever you log into this environment, whenever log into this particular, this is known as console home. If you are anywhere, click at this particular location, at this particular icon, AWS and this particular arrow. So this is known as AWS console home. Once again, you will be redirected to this particular page only. Wherever you are, you will be redirected here. Now, the second section is, this is known as the services. All the services, irrespective of like you are talking about analytics services, application integration, AWS cost management, blockchain, business application. We will talk about compute, containers, customer enablement, database, developer tools, and user computing. So everything, there are different sections available here. Like you can talk the security, like storage, security, even satellite services are available, robotics, quantum technologies are available here, network content and delivery. So these sort of different segments are here. IoT, machine learning, game development. So multiple components are here based on your requirement. You can, let us say we want to talk about compute section. So within compute, you will get multiple options here like AWS App Runner, Batch, EC2. Obviously, this is the most favorite one. Like Image Builder, Beanstalk, Lambda, Lightsail, Outpost, Serverless Application Repository. Yeah, same space, Weaver. So these are kind of applications which we have under compute section. The same way we can talk about containers like Elastic Container Registry, which is known as ECR, Elastic Container Service, where we manage Docker containers, Elastic Kubernetes Services, where we manage Kubernetes, and Red Hat OpenShift is also available on AWS. So these are kind of containerized platform which we can manage on the top of it. The same way we can talk about database, like we have DocumentDB, we have DynamoDB, Elastic Cache, Amazon Key Space, we have like MemoryDB for Redis, Neptune, QLDB, RDS, TimeStream. So we have different kind of databases available here. So once you have your account available, you can start exploring it. And obviously, guys, trust me when I say the kind of services which you are able to see today, it could be possible till the time when we will end up our course after 2 months, right? It might be possible there might be some other services listed here because Amazon is always working on enhancement and some new services might also be added here. Okay, so now let me create one EC2 machine for you. We will go in depth of it, but yes, today is the very first session. So I literally do not want to bother you a lot. That a lot of things which we are going to learn should not be like overflown the very first day. So guys, this is EC2 dashboard. This is EC2 dashboard, and there are 2 dashboards available. Like this is new experience. If you want to go for new dashboard, you can go for it. And if you want to go for previous dashboard, because AWS has enhanced its dashboard. Okay, now let us try to create a virtual machine, and that is also known as VM. So shall we go for it, guys? Let me tell you tomorrow's agenda. We are going to explore this entire panel. Like what is this? Like what is global view? What is event type? Launch template, spot instance, savings plan, reserve, dedicated, like capacity reserve, like reservation, AMI catalog, everything we are going to discuss about it. We will discuss about these things in detailed manner.
Can you tell me please how to create AWS account for free?
Okay, so AWS account is always free until some limitation use of it. You will need an email address, which obviously every one of us has, and a credit card. You will have to pay 2 Indian rupees. 2 Indian rupees you will have to pay, and even this is refundable. If you pay 2 rupees today, so maybe within next 72 working hours, those 2 rupees will be refunded to you. So it is just to validate that your credit card is valid, because in case if you utilize unwanted services, you leave the services running in your account, so AWS will charge you something for utilizing the resources of AWS. Otherwise, the kind of practicals which we are going to do, end-to-end practicals I'm talking about, So the kind of bill you are supposed to pay is going to be maximum 100 Indian rupees. Not beyond that. Because there are a couple of practicals which are paid. I'll perform in my account and you will perform in your account, right? So if you like do all the practicals very safely and you do not think that I'll have to create the resource once again, let the resource running. So you will end up paying maximum 100 Indian rupees for performing all the practicals from beginning to end. Are we clear with that?
Okay, okay, okay.
Maximum 100 Indian rupees, because I have been teaching for more than a decade now. And I have hardly paid a couple of thousand rupees. Okay. So these are the like our dashboard where we can see like how many running instances we have, the number of stopped instances. Like if you have an instance but in stopped manner, that will be visible here. Placement group, how many disk volume means disk, hard disk drive, HDD. So how many disks we have. If we have any dedicated host here, what is it? We will discuss in detail. So kind of. So let us begin with it and let us try to create a virtual machine inside our AWS account. Yes. There are a couple of other things like this one. This is known as Cloud Shell. So kind of operation I'm going to perform with the help of some clicks. You can write your program and you can execute it from here. This is known as Cloud Shell. This is known as your notification center. This is your help center. These are different reasons. Like these are kind of different physical locations where you can create your resources here. So good news is that even in India, we have two different geographical regions here, which is known as Hyderabad and Mumbai. Initially, only Mumbai was available, but as of today, if you want, you can start operating in Hyderabad as well. And this is your account detail, like you want to log out, you want to change settings, you want to go to billing dashboard, your organization, your account details, everything you can see it from here, from this particular panel. Okay, let's click on this launch instance. Like now we are ready to create a virtual machine. So here we can give a name, maybe like my first virtual machine. You can give it a name for identification, like why you are going to create this machine. Tomorrow we will discuss in detail like what should be the naming convention here. There are also some standards using which we can define our standard naming convention here. We will discuss about it. But since this is my first virtual machine, so I'm going to name it like this. Now, what flavor of operating system you would like to have? Like you would like to go for Amazon Linux. This is also based on Red Hat, or maybe you can call it CentOS based operating system. This is Mac OS, this is Ubuntu, this is Windows, this is Red Hat, this is SUSE, and this is Debian. So I'm going to select Red Hat here. Now within Red Hat also, I'm going to select Red Hat 9. This is latest operating system available in market. From the Red Hat side, RHEL 9 is the latest one. Then I'm going to select 86-bit operating system. Obviously, guys, trust me when I say there are different kind of stuff available here. There are different kind of images available here, which we can select, right? But right now, I am just giving you an overview like how to create EC2 machine. Tomorrow, when we are going to discuss about it in detailed manner, so obviously it is going to take more than an hour to create just one single EC2 machine. And today I'll be creating in 2 minutes only. So I'll select a kind of key pair here. What does it mean like key pair? The kind of details which are required in order to log into your operating system. Like username or password. We will discuss about in detail. Like how you want to create your machine. What is the VPC? VPC stands for Virtual Private Cloud. We will discuss in detail and you can understand. This is kind of soul of your complete course. If you understand VPC, most of the topics will be cleared. Do you want to assign public IP address? Yes, I want to have public IP address. How would you like to secure your operating system? I want to allow traffic on port 22 from anywhere. 22 port means SSH, secure shell. This is the particular mechanism using which we will log into our operating system. I will allow SSH, maybe HTTPS or HTTP, whatever you want. You can select this protocol, and later on, whatever other ports you would like to add, that will be also allowed. You can add or remove ports from your security group, and security group means firewall rule. Security group means firewall, your logical security entry point. Okay, how much disk you want to add, the kind of volume you want to have here. There are different kind of volumes, like we have GP3, GP2, IO1, IO2, like SC1, ST1, magnetic. So we will try to understand the difference and different use cases of these volumes tomorrow. We have so many advanced details as well here. We will try to understand these within tomorrow's session. That's why I'm saying tomorrow it is going to take more than an hour to create an EC2 machine. For now, we are good. And we will hit here, create launch instance. That's it. How many instances you want to create? Maybe if I define here 10, so 10 instances will be created for me with a single click. But right now, this is for the practical only. For example, I'm going to create one machine. What are going to be configuration of it? One CPU, 1 GB of RAM, 10 GB disk, and that's it. We are able to see our instance here. So this is currently in pending state. Within a while, it will be in running state as well. Yes, guys. So it is in running state now. We can see the complete details of it, like when the machine is created, like what is the AMI used to create it, when it was created, what is owner ID, like complete detail of this particular virtual machine is available here. We can go for security, like what is security group, how many ports are opened, what is the launch time of it. We can see the networking, like public IP address of the machine, private IP address of the machine, like what is subnet ID, what is availability zone. Everything about this network we can easily understand, about storage, about status of the machine, like about monitoring what is the status of this machine, how much load on this machine, what is the particular disk utilization, network utilization. So these sort of things we can easily monitor here with the help of this monitoring section. Are we clear with this, guys? Obviously, tomorrow we will go for the very detailed information about it. Do not worry about it. But yes, today I just wanted to tell you that yes, I know how to create EC2 machine. Because I'll be guiding you through all the way through this course, and I hope that is it for today. So now it is your time. If you have any kind of feedback, you want to share kind of information, you want to add something here about this particular session, so you can share a complete feedback.
Yeah, very nice teaching, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other one would like to add anything? Any feedback for the session, guys? Vikram?
Yes, sir. Very nice.
Okay. So do you have any questions so far? Sobit Singh. Siddharth?
No.
Prabhat, any feedback for the session?
Very nice.
Very nice, sir. Very nice.
Really, so explanation we have got it from the starting of the lesson.
Okay, fine. So let us continue the same session tomorrow at the same time. And tomorrow we are going to see all the options in detail, because see, until unless we understand each and every parameter of this, then obviously we shall not be able to prove ourselves as experienced. So we will try to explore
One
each
thing,
and every.
what are the topics we will cover in this?
Okay, let me share the details with you. These are the topics we are going to cover. I have shared in chat. So, okay, guys, thank you so very much for your time on this call today. Hope to see you tomorrow
you, sir.
at the same time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Okay,
Bye,
bye-bye.
sir.
God bless you all. Have a good time ahead.